Hello, this is Will Duran from Ozark Aerial Video, and it's a bright sunny day. I'm probably going to keep this camera under the hatch so I don't get blown out by the sunlight for the most part. But what I'm doing today is making a 2D map of the Yellville ballpark. Now, I've done bigger areas, the entire park I've done that, and I can certainly do larger areas than that. But one of the advantages of doing a small area like a ball field is that you can get a 2D map or similar to a Google map view, but in live time. And I can get much closer to the ground, in this case 100 feet, so the resolution will be much greater. You have to understand that a Google map usually only updates once every 3 to 5 years, give or take. So if you're doing a construction project which is changing weekly, daily, certainly monthly, that's where this can come in handy here, is that you can see the progress from the overhead view as you would see a Google map under high resolution. So what I'm doing is I'm using a map program to fly the pattern, basically mowing the grass in the sky, and the camera of the drone is looking straight down and it's taking numerous pictures, between 50 and 60, just for the size of the ballpark, looking straight down. So once I gather the photos, I'll take it back to my house, get on the computer, and I'll stitch the photos in such a way as to put them together and make a 2D view of the entire ball field. Now, the drone GPS by itself is pretty good, and what it will do is use a Google background map and overlay the map that I create over that. So the edges should match up fairly well. Anyway, you'll be able to see the final result when I get the map completed, and I'll show you the resolution once we do all the computer work and finish up the homework. All right, see you later. Thanks. Bye now. Okay, I'm back at my desk. I'm looking at a Google map right now. This is not the information I got from the drone. This is a Google map. And I'm going to zoom in all the way. That is zoomed in all the way. So here we see home plate, pitcher's mound, first, second, and third base on the baseball field. So I want you to get an idea of what this looks like. And I want to show you now one of the features that I derived from my drone flight. And I think this is pretty important here. Here's the ball field, but this is a elevation or topography map. So what you can see here, you can actually see slight elevation between the dirt in the field and the grass. I'm standing right here, and here's the car I drove up in. Now, the drone focused its flight, as I was saying, mowing the grass along this pattern here, directly above the field itself. So once you get into these outer areas, I'm not as really concerned about that because that's not what I actually looked at. But even when the drone's here looking down, it can look out, but it's not getting multiple picture coverage. So this area here is, while it shows data, it's not the focus of the flight, and the information may be, well, for lack of a better word, incomplete. This is the area that we flew. Basically flew this area right here. So what you can see here is that here's lower spots on the field. So for drainage, this would probably be wet. And you can see that the field itself is actually pretty flat, uniform. These are the buildings that are sitting up a little higher. So that has its own capability. Let's look at another photo here. Now here is the drone data photo. So again, we're looking at again the outlying areas, just like on the elevation map, but the focus is here. Now what you will see in this type of feature is the detail on the uniform surface. So let's zoom all the way in from this 2D map. Now here is second base right here. That's zoomed all the way in. You know, compare that to that, where we're looking here at second base. That's the difference between the drone view and the Google Map view. So even here you might see we're zoomed all the way in, so there's probably a little amount of artifacts that you see along here. The picture is probably most useful when you zoom out to something like this. But what you do notice here is that while the level features, the grass, the plates, and those features look pretty good, the rooftops don't look so good. So that's something to pick up from this. Now this is again flight at 100 feet, and to get the rooftops more uniform, it's going to take drone flights with photos that come in at angles instead of straight down. So the building itself in this method could use a lot more photos. The drone did take 72 photos for this flight. So what you can see here is that there's two things that become very clear, and that is that the elevation map is useful, and if you're looking at ground level features, they turn out pretty good. But if you have buildings or high features that stick up like a building, and I would even say probably tall trees, they might be a little blurry, but the ground itself is very clear. Now here's a picture. You can see the light post here. The top of the light looks pretty good. The post itself looks a little askewed, and here's the shadow of that light. But again, like here's third base, and when you zoom in all the way, you see a fair amount of detail, but it begins to get a little blurry. But nowhere in comparison to the Google Map itself. So there's one comparison. Let's pull down the Google Map, and I wanted to show you one other feature picture here, and this one is the drone from one photo from 400 feet. So when we zoom in at 400 feet, because it's one photo and not multiple photos, you do see the structure of the roof, and it's a uniform. However, when you get over to there's first base, when you get to first base, there's a little square feature on the outside of first base. So let's, but that's not a fault. That's actually at first base. Well, let's just leave it there. So there's first base, zoomed in all the way from a photo at 400 feet. And let's take a look at the 72 photo collage. This is first base here. So we'll zoom in, well, actually all the way there. So that's first base with the 72 photos. And that's first base from 400 feet, one photo. So again, the features, the clarity of a level ground with 72 photos at 100 feet is pretty good. And it just depends what you're looking for. Again, I think that's probably a more useful photo when you pull out just a little bit for the ground level. That's pretty clear. Okay, again, that's the, let's pull out, just look at the whole park. That's the whole park at, with the 100-foot view zoomed out a little bit. And this is the 400-foot whole park. Now the picture's at a different angle, but you get the idea. So what can we draw from this is that you can get good elevation markers for drainage. Now the GPS will be more accurate if I had 2, 3, or 4 actual survey points that the drone could interact with. Now the method I used here for this to get this product here, is a fairly quick way, and it's less expensive. I can say that. This method here is less expensive to obtain, and I still think if you just got level ground, this shows real well. If you have buildings, a single photo would be pretty cool. That would be quick, and then I could edit that one photo. But we find that with these multiple photos, the ground level is actually shows really well, and detail and bears magnification real well too. Now, one last feature I wanted to show you was the overlay of the drone map with the onto the Google map, the existing Google map. And here's the Google map right here, and then here's the drone map that was created. Now again, understand that the focus of the drone was here, and so this is better coordinated. When you get to the edges, you're looking at really only peripheral view of the drone. So when you look at these features as they correlate, they're not going to correlate as well. You can see the road here is off, but this right here is the area of focus. So when you first look at this and you see that this is off here, just notable places here a little bit with the trail, and the road here not matching with that, that is not really a huge concern, because that area was not the area to be looked at. If I wanted to trim this out, it would line up much better. So those are the capabilities of what we were able to gather the other day. So by comparison, a single photo has its uses. Gaining multiple photos allows you to zoom in on a flatter plane without buildings for this capability, and you are able to overlay it onto a Google map. Now I could have expanded this area here, which I've flown this entire area here before, and you have the same result, and that is that the center part is going to be clear and aligned. The edges will be slightly off. I flew that larger field at 400 feet. Now I could have flown it at 100 feet. It's just a longer flight, and I was just testing out the capability of the mapping. So it's just one other tool that you can use. particularly I think is valuable for low-level construction. If you're only doing buildings that's under an acre, you might do better with photos from above. That would certainly be quicker, and then you would have the detail, but you wouldn't be able to zoom in as much as you can with this. So anyway, I appreciate your time, and if this has an interest for you, we can talk more about it as it might apply to you. Thank you very much, and have a good day.